Hey guys, so I hope my internet is stable enough today to do this. We have a storm here, so I hope I'm staying online for the entire live. So, the past 2 days, I've been talking about how I did my book and what was important for the exterior design and what was important for the interior design. So, today, I want to talk a little bit about all the people around me who actually helped me with the book because even though I'm the author on the book, so many other people helped me along the way. So, for sure, my husband, of course, because he is part of the story in the book. He's part of my story. So, when telling my story, I'm also telling his, as well as my dad and my mom. And also, in some part, my siblings, even though I asked them if it was okay. I did ask them if it was okay. Um, and but they haven't they don't want to read it. So but that's totally fine with me, but they're not mentioned in the book, but it's still part of their lives. So I think it's important to remember that when you're telling your story, you're also often telling someone else's story. So if there's someone in your book that's bound to be affected by you publishing, maybe not get permission depending on your relationship, but at least give them a heads up that there might come something now about their lives that gets out in the public that they weren't necessarily aware of. So I definitely want to say that. And the same of course goes for my mother-in-law and their family, my husband's family. um so that's kind of the base for my core family. But let's take it from the beginning, actually. So, what I started doing when I decided to write the book was to call up. I wrote out on Facebook saying, "Hey guys, do you know anyone who's self-published? I would love to ask some questions." So I did. I got a hold of someone who actually helped me quite a bit and let me ask a lot of silly questions and not so silly questions about book publishing. And she had published both self-publishing and through a publisher, so she could kind of tell me a lot about the difference as well. I don't remember a lot of what she said to be honest, but what I do remember is that um, she did talk up the self-publishing, so that's what I went with. But that was kind of the first person who really helped me in that process to figure out, okay, so what's in this book project? What is it that I need to be aware of when I publish my book? um, the next thing I started doing was searching for in Facebook groups for people to interview, or not even interview, to pre-interview, because for everyone that I talked to for the book, all of the stories, the people's stories I tell in the book, I did pre-interviews because it wasn't both to give them an idea of what I wanted it with the book, how I wanted it to tell the stories, but also to give me an idea of who they were. Um, and I don't remember if I said this in an earlier video, but actually I of course I got not chosen. So some people chose not to participate for various reasons. Some just got overwhelmed with life, and some just didn't find the project like something they would want to participate in. But they also gave me the opportunity to choose who I wanted it in the book. And especially, I had one woman who she was flat out lying to me from when she wrote me to when I did the pre-interview with her. Her story changed, going from like her wasn't what I was looking for in the book. So it's really important for me to actually um there we go. So unstable. So it was really important for me to actually be able to choose these things. So the talking to people and doing the pre-interviews was a core thing for me in the book writing. Um, So and they helped me a lot. I got 15 interviews in the book from other caregivers, and that was a huge help. So the next thing I did was to, of course, start like calling out and figuring out who to get to make the design of the book, the cover design, because I knew I wanted it that pretty early on. So finding someone who was willing to do that was important to me. And then I started interviewing experts. So I found psychologists from different um, like cancer society and places like that made sense for the book, right? So I reached out to had anyone saying no. Oh, there we go. The line is unstable, so I hope this is gonna be okay anyway. So, but what I was saying, I didn't have anyone saying no. I think maybe one, and actually, I think the very first person I interviewed before everything else was a doctor that did an interview, and the interview or that did an interview for a newspaper, and the interview I did with him was really interesting because it sent me off on a different trail than I originally thought about. So these interview persons were really interesting, and that kind of helped me shape the book. So without these interviews, it would have been a totally different book, and it wouldn't have given me as much um, to relate in the book. The next thing that I did is I got the next people I had to help me was um, sorry, I'm hey babe. My husband is sending me ducks and hearts. um so the next people I made the outline and found out that there was especially two areas of the book that I wouldn't feel that comfortable writing about myself. So I found someone in my network to do that. So I had these two passages in my book co-written, or not co-written, they wrote that. So they were of course cited for that in the book, and I thanked them in the book, but it wasn't enough for them to actually be co-writers on the book. It was maybe 3 pages each. But again, that gave more depth and more understanding about the topic of the book for the reader, so I chose to get that help, and I'm really thankful. That was amazing. um, then I also got help from all of the people who actually pre-ordered the book. I know this might sound weird, but what I did is I pre-sold the book to my network and everyone who wanted to listen to me and buy the book. I let them buy that for a discounted price. And the reason that's a help, other than of course them buying the book, is it's really an energy boost to know that there's at least 100 people supporting me. I pre-sold 103 books, and knowing that they were supporting me in this journey of the book was amazing. So it was a really, really, really big help for me. So that's a point to remember. Maybe if you're writing, making a contract with someone saying, if I don't finish this book, then I owe you, I don't know, $1,000, something like that. So having these things that where other people hold you accountable is a really, really good thing. And of course, some people do it in other ways. I'm just telling you how I did it and what worked for me. Well, I didn't pay anyone if I didn't get it done, but people pre-buying the book was really a huge help for me in terms of accountability. And actually the same with the interviews, because as soon as I started doing those interviews, even though in the beginning I told people this is what I'm working on. I can't promise you yet that it's going to be anything, but it really did create accountability for me to have them do these interviews, because it kind of made me say, okay, so now I kind of owe them to write and publish this book. So that was pretty important for me as well. Um, then the next thing I had, other than then I had the graphic designer, I also had my editor. So I hired someone to do um, part of the editing. And that was really important. So we went through the book like 3 times, I think. So that was a huge help. I paid, so the interior designer and the editor, why is it that you chose to not just set that up in um, Canva, for example, do it yourself? And I'm like, that's I know I could do that, but I would amazing, and I don't have the skills to do that, and I don't have the time to learn how to develop those skills in the timeline, the deadline I set for myself. So that is why I did it like that. So that also became a really big help for me. Also, in terms of my deadline, because what I did, I'd set a deadline, so I'd been working back saying, okay, so my editor needs so much or this much time, um, my graphic designer needs this much time, so when do I need to hand in the different things to the different people? So that was really helpful as well to keep me on track for my timeline, so that I knew what to deliver when to whom. Then, of course, there was all of my amazing beta readers. They were such, both in my own network and also in some Facebook groups. I had amazing people in my own network beta read the book, and I also had someone I didn't know in advance, which was really important to me, because not that I don't trust the people I know to do this, and a lot of them did, well, they all did an amazing job, but the thing is that it can be hard to be 100% truthful to someone you know. So I really wanted it to have someone that I didn't know that would just read the book, and be very, very truthful with me about everything that they read. Did it make sense? Did, like, all of these things. So other than actually them beta reading, they had a lot of ideas and corrections and stuff like that that I could incorporate in the book as well. So huge, huge help. Um, then, of course, also the printer. So the company that printed the book, I did a lot of research on in yesterday's video. I'm talking about all of the things that I needed it to remember for that, like the cover, how the paper, the, like, everything like that. So the printing, asking people, and not asking everyone their opinion, but asking your, like, the people who know about this, and the people who you actually trust. So ask the people for the printing, for example, asking the people who are actually going to print the book, because they are the ones who are going to have it in their hands. Um, so that was a huge help as well. Um, of course, also my network for helping me spread the word about the book. Um, for in general, people trusting in me with this book, and um, with the speaking engagements I got from this book, because I already had speaking engagements based on the book before the book was released. So that was really amazing. I was invited to a fair to sell the book, or to tell people about the book in a booth before the book release. So I went there, and the only thing I had was my own, like, I got, get copies to read through to see if everything is as it should be. I had one of those with me um, to that. So really an amazing thing to get. And that was all from networking. That was from telling people about my book and marketing the book way in advance of it coming out. So I probably forgot someone, but I those are the ones I remember right now. But I'm so thankful for all of the help, and I hope that I've given you some idea of how you can get remembered to people. Most people are willing to help if you just ask. And the challenge just before and where you post on your social media today, and then send me a message. The email is in the description, um, about the um, yeah. So remember, ask for people's help, and babe, I love you. Have fun and get shit done, guys. Bye.